Hello, everybody. Today, let's talk about the Oscars a little bit and focus on some of the major nominations at the 83rd Academy Awards this year. I will admit that I haven't seen all the films that are nominated this year. However, I will talk a little bit about what I do know about those films and talk a lot more about the films that I have seen. With that out of the way, let's get started. Now, I haven't seen much of The Illusionist, and unfortunately, I have not seen How to Train Your Dragon. So my predictions may be a little skewed for this category. Now, I liked what I saw in The Illusionist, and the fact that it's a foreign film, it's more of a 2D-ish kind of film as opposed to the 3D that is running rampant in animated films here in the US, and the fact that it's a great screenplay makes it a really strong contender. But in the end, I think it's still going to come down to How to Train Your Dragon and Toy Story 3. Again, I say that I have not seen How to Train Your Dragon, so I don't know how well this will do in this category, but I think Toy Story 3 is going to pull it out. Just like the first movie, it's a very, it draws a connection between the characters and the audience, and it's it treats a lot of the characters as if they're real people instead of just the toys that they're portrayed as in the movie. And it does appeal to both children and adults too as well, with the humor and everything else, which makes this a really, fulfilling movie. And the fact that this is also a contender for Best Picture and is nominated for it does say a lot, because usually for Best Picture, animated films don't normally make it into the nomination pool for that category. So, my pick for this category, Toy Story 3. Really? Really? You're gonna leave Christopher Nolan out of the Best Directors category again? Now, I'll admit you can get away with it for Dark Knight because usually superhero movies don't get that many major nominations at the Academy Awards. But last time it was a big step. You had Heath Ledger nominated and won for Best Supporting Actor, and it is arguably one of the best films of all time, especially one of the best sequels of all times. So you see Christopher Nolan up again with the movie Inception. He's been nominated for Best Screenplay for this one, and you've got Inception as one of the nominees for Best Picture. And you don't throw him in for Best Director? Okay. I don't get it. But I'll just leave it as it is. I'm done with my rant. Now let's actually talk about, and let me pull up on the screen here, the nominees for Best Directing. Now, out of all the films that are listed here, the only ones that I've seen in its entirety are Black Swan and The Social Network. Now, I love Black Swan, but I think this is going to come down to The Social Network and The King's Speech. Actually, for a lot of the categories, you will see that that rivalry between the two. I think these are going to be two major movies here. What puts these apart from a lot of the other films is that The Social Network and The King's Speech are two of the few films that are based on real people, generally some real events, and that's what the Academy likes. Good films that are based on true stories, and there's quite a few of them, but these two especially are going to be leading the pack. Now, I've seen The Social Network, and it appeals more to me because of the fact that it deals with something that happened during, my generation, especially within the new millennium. So it's closer to what we are, whereas The King's Speech takes a bit further away. However, as much as I love The Social Network, and a lot of the story and everything else, how it was edited, I think The King's Speech is going to win this award. It's going to be one of the few awards I think The King's Speech will win. So I think that Tom Hooper is going to be the one taking the award for King's Speech in the Best Directing category. Now, unfortunately, I haven't seen any of the films that are nominated here, so I'm going to go off the clips that I've seen and from their movies, and also what I've seen in them if I have seen them in any of their movies. Now, my favorite actress in this category is Amy Adams. I think she's a great actress. Um, Kind of typecast a little bit in some of her roles as more of the innocent, sunny disposition kind of character, but all in all, she's my favorite Adam. Does that mean that she's gonna win, or do I think? Does that mean that I think she's gonna win? Unfortunately, no. I think again with King's Speech, there's a lot of buzz. This is one of the major contenders in this, and Helena Bonham Carter. I've seen her in quite a few movies, and from the clips that I've seen of her in the King's Speech, I think she makes a legitimate case to win this, and I think she's going to take away the honors. The only other person that would be close to taking the award for actress in a supporting role probably would be Haley Steinfeld from True Grit or Jackie Weaver for Animal Kingdom. But my money's going to go on Helena Bonham Carter for the King's Speech. Not much to say about this category for me since I haven't seen too many of these movies. Okay, so we get to actress in a leading role, which is an interesting category because I have seen Natalie Portman in Black Swan. I've seen Michelle Williams and Nicole Kidman in other roles, and they've been phenomenal actresses as well. I haven't seen The Kids Are All Right. I haven't seen enough of Blue Valentine and The Rabbit Hole, and Winter's Bone. I have seen none of it. Now, the youngest actress in this category is Jennifer Lawrence for Winter's Bone. She's only about 20 years old. Um, and then you've got strong contenders in Michelle Williams and Nicole Kidman, who have been in major Oscar-nominated films. So I think they're going to be strong contenders. I think it's going to come down to Natalie Portman, though, who's going to end up winning with this category. She did a great job as Nina in Black Swan, and usually you picture her from her roles and from personality and things as more of the quiet, shy, or kind of innocent girl, and the way she plays the role of ballerina slowly going crazy with all the stress of everything she really does it very well. And it also adds in, at least for me, an ending which was a bit shocking and unexpected for me. It was one of those I couldn't even predict the ending till close to the end of the movie, and by then it was like, oh, I think you're almost making it obvious now how the movie ends. Oops, spoiler alert. But yeah, I think Natalie Portman's gonna win another award for herself, and this is gonna be her award for Best Actress in a Leading Role. Now we get to the category for Best Actor in a Supporting Role, and you've got a lot of good choices here, but I'm gonna make this quick since I haven't really seen these movies in their entirety. So let's get going. I'm actually gonna pick Jeffrey Rush for the King's Speech in this one. The King's Speech seems to have an all-star acting cast, and like I said, it's one of the strong contenders this year to make major splashes in a lot of these major categories, and I think Jeffrey Rush is the winner out of all of them. Now, I'm a huge Christian Bale fan. I've been a fan of his since the first time I saw him in the Disney musical Newsies, and I think he'd also make a strong case for himself, but I think Jeffrey Rush is already one of the people that's gonna lead the pack and just win this category. The next closest person probably would be Jeremy Renner from The Town, but my money's gonna be on The King's Speech, with Jeffrey Rush winning actor in a supporting role. Now we get to the Best Actor in a Leading Role. Now, I think this one will be tough to narrow down because you've got a lot of great performances by a lot of great actors, including one of the co-hosts of this year's Academy Awards, James Franco, for his role in 127 Hours. Now, will this be a year where we see one of the hosts of the Academy Awards also announced as the winner for Best Actor in a Leading Role? Possibly. Do I think he's going to win it? No. you've got a lot of good performances. You've got Jeff Bridges for True Grit. You've got Jesse Eisenberg, The Social Network. Colin Firth, The King's Speech. Javier Bardem from the film Beautiful from Mexico. But I actually think it's going to come down to Colin Firth, Jesse Eisenberg, and Javier Bardem. Now, a lot of people seem to be ready to pick Colin Firth for The King's Speech. I'm going to go against the norm and say that I think Jesse Eisenberg is going to win for The Social Network. I think his role portraying Mark Zuckerberg, especially a person who is more relevant to today, especially with the growth of Facebook, really is going to make a big impact on this. But I wouldn't be surprised if Javier Bardem ends up winning this award, because he could be one of the major surprises in here. A lot of people are picking Colin Firth. I'm sticking with Jesse Eisenberg, The Social Network, and there's still a major chance that Javier Bardem could win for his role in Beautiful. Now, here we are at the Motherlode, the main attraction of the Academy Awards. The big and the final award, the award for Best Motion Picture. Again, this is the second year in a row now that they're having 10 candidates nominated for this category. And there's a few surprises in some of these nominations, but none of these movies are undeserving of their nomination. First off, you've got Toy Story 3, which is a surprise for me because normally they don't nominate animated films for Best Picture. It's kind of a rarity in the Academy Awards. So to see Toy Story here as a nomination for Best Picture along with Best Animated Feature Film really says a lot to the testament of the film. You also have, of course, the major films, Social Network and The King's Speech, and 127 Hours and The Fighter. So those are 4 films right there that deal with real people, that are films based on real people and some of the trials and adventures that those real people have gone through in their life. You've got The Kids Are All Right, which is a drama about 2 kids that were conceived via artificial insemination, I believe, and they're trying to bring their biological father into their family life. You've got Inception, which is an amazing movie, if you haven't seen it already. Very complex. It's a movie that really makes you think, which brings us to me still questioning why Christopher Nolan wasn't nominated for Best Director, but I'm not going to go back there again. But it seems that Inception's got a difficult chance of winning this award, especially since a lot of people, especially in the Academy, picture it as more of a blockbuster film, which is what I think Avatar suffered from last year for not winning the award. More of a blockbuster film instead of a Academy Award type winning film. Toy Story 3 and I think The Kids Are All Right have more of a lottery chance of winning, especially Toy Story 3. If they win, I will be shocked. It's unfortunately not going to have any major chance to win. In the end, it's going to just go back down to The King's Speech and The Social Network, and I actually think The Social Network will edge out The King's Speech in this one, especially since it's more relevant. It's a story that is closer to us today. We can actually compare the story to what your experience of what was happening in real life during this time, and I think they did a very good job. I think when the trailers first came out, people thought it was a joke. It's like really a movie about Facebook. But after the film came out, it just had a lot of rave reviews, surprised a lot of people, and did a very good job for portraying this kind of story. So there you have it. Those are my predictions for the Academy Awards this year. So let's see which ones I get right, or maybe if you have your own predictions, let's see if you have choices that are right, more correct than mine. So, other than that, hopefully you guys watch the Academy Awards this year on February 27th. And other than that, till next time, class dismissed.